Why is there only me?
All right, I'm here, but for some reason my video is not on.
Your virtual, oh, are you attached to Agahi? I was already having problems with ours this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Agahi for guest. No, go to the Agahi guest one.
But my camera still isn't working. What's going on?
I can see you.
Yeah, but I'm not moving. You can
Oh,
see
you're not
me, but I'm
moving,
not
you're
moving.
frozen.
I'm frozen. Yeah. Why am I frozen? Let me go out and come back in. No, that's not gonna work. If I go out,
Here, let me go in.
kind of funny just to see my picture.
Can you hear me though? Oh, you don't.
Wait just a minute.
Your picture's not there anymore either. Oh, yeah, there you're back.
I'm launching.
No.
Yes.
I'm gonna just go none, because I'm at the office anyway. Yeah, I don't know why it's frozen.
You can leave and go back in, just make me the administrator for a minute.
Rob, it says you have to sign in on your,
Does I have to sign in?
yeah, that's what I see on my screen.
I shouldn't have to sign in. I'm the administrator.
There I am.
I know,
You passed me.
but it is up in the right-hand corner. It's just sign in. And you're frozen.
Guys, just give Rob a minute. He's calling Morgan. We're having an issue just here.
My camera is still frozen.
Okay, can we go without a camera? Can you share your screen?
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen and go without a camera. Because I can't figure it out. That's the strangest thing. I don't recall that's ever happened to me before, but it seems like whenever something happens, it happens at this meeting. I was doing Zooms all weekend long without a problem. But oh well, you guys can't see me, but you can hear me. That's the main thing. So first of all, it's a big welcome, by the way. This is fantastic. This is actually our first Monday meeting where, since we merged with Coldwell Banker On Track, that we have the realtors in central Alberta that are actually at this meeting. And there's a whole bunch of them that are at this meeting right now. So I'm going to welcome all of you to our Monday morning meetings. Yes, awesome. Yes. And that's, by the way, I took a picture of the front of our office in Red Deer, and I guess we have to get that changed to Mountain Central, which we'll do soon, but we have a lovely office there, and which is my perfect little segue into this master class that I'm doing at our Red Deer office on Friday. And so I'm trying this out to see how many people physically want to come to an event like this versus how many people want to take the Zoom route. And I think we have maybe enough room for approximately, I would say, 30 realtors in our Red Deer location. And so anything more than that, we will have to go to a hotel, and we're bringing in lunch. So we're going to make it a lot of fun, but I think it's a great opportunity for us to get to know each other as well. So that's why there's an invitation for Edmonton and Calgary to come to this event in person. Now, I want to tell you just a little bit about this event, because I know there's been a couple of people that have given me comments. Are we changing the rules on how we're working with buyers and all of this? The answer is no. As a brokerage, we follow the rules that are given to us from the Real Estate Council of Alberta and rules that we follow from our real estate boards. So I want to just make something very clear about working with buyers that's not going to change, and that is we are all encouraged right across the province to get written service agreements with your clients as soon as possible. But there's not an exact timeline as to when that is. So if you meet with a buyer and you don't get a written service agreement at that moment, maybe you're going to have your relationship develop further before such time that you get one signed. That is between you and your client. And that's the instructions we have in following the rules within the Real Estate Council of Alberta. So that's not going to change with me doing this workshop. However, what I am going to teach you at this workshop is maybe there's some ideas. Some of you have been working with buyers for a long time, and you have a lot of things figured out. But I'm gonna show you a few other things that I've done over the years that has been very successful for me in working with buyers. And part of that is being able to get a written service agreement with them, I'll say sooner than later. Okay. And that's really what this focus is going to be on. So we're going to do a deep dive into understanding buyers.
They can't see the presentation.
They can't see the presentation either. So this is really not going well today.
I can see your presentation on Zoom.
You can see it, Alyssa?
Yes.
I only see the first page. I don't know if you're on the same slide, the one working with Buyer Masterclass.
That's what we're on.
Okay, but you're like, we can't see you talking. You're frozen that way, but we can hear you.
Yeah, that's good. So you can hear me, but as long as you can see my screen, that's good. But for today, you're only going to be able to hear me because I don't know why I'm frozen. I can't understand it. Yeah, there I am, but I'm just frozen. It's like the camera's not coming on.
Sounds good. That's good.
Is this bizarre? So anyway, let me just wrap up by saying this. So on Friday, I'm going to be getting into why buyers do what they do, how buyers actually think. And I want to tell you something. I spent the first 5 years in this business only working with buyers. I never actually worked with sellers at all. My first 5 years, I only worked with buyers. And many of the things that I learned back then have served me well for today. And I was coached early on in my career to work with buyers a certain way. When I worked with Elaine Braun, and Michael knows Elaine, but when I worked on Elaine's team, I was a brand new realtor, and I started with them. I won't forget, it was like February of the year 2000. And I knew nothing at all, but my team leader, they had a rule on my team. You are not allowed to work with a buyer unless you had a written service agreement. There was a policy to be on their team. So I didn't know any different. We just had to get these written service agreements signed. So it was kind of funny, because when you don't know what you don't know, you just tend to do what you're asked to do. And so that's actually why it's really served me well. Now, over the years, I mean, have I worked with every single client with a written service agreement right away? The answer is no, I have not, and probably nobody else has either. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes to working with buyers, there are strategic things that we can do a little bit better. And I'm very confident, no matter where you are in your real estate career, you will pick up a few really good ideas from this workshop I'm doing on Friday. That much I will promise you. So I just need, as of today, because at this very moment, we are planning on doing it in our Red Deer location, but if suddenly we get some more people that do want to come physically, we're going to have to change our venue and probably move into a hotel. That's why I need to know who all wants to come in person versus Zoom. Like, I need to know that today. And also because we have to order enough food, and I don't want anybody to leave hungry.
Hey, I put the link to RSVP for it in the chat,
Perfect.
and there's already 9 people RSVP'd in person.
Okay, great. I love it. You couldn't access it?
If
Yeah.
you can't access it, then you have not logged into the portal yet, and that's a step you have to take.
That's why. Yeah, because you're not a realtor in our office, so you don't have access to the portal. All right. And by the way, this actually, I saw this this kind of a cartoon on the weekend, and I thought it really applied to over the years. You know, it's kind of funny when any new thinking is introduced in our industry, and this goes all the way back from, I'm really aging myself when I say this, but when I started in real estate, we were still Krebs was actually still using a DOS system, believe it or not. It was a system called Stellar. I won't forget it. It was an old DOS system. Shortly after I got my license, though, they went to a Windows application called Altera. And it was great. Like, when you saw the Windows application, I was going, wow, this is so much better than this archaic DOS. But it was funny that there was a lot of upset people. And I've noticed over the years, even when the real estate boards or even RECA tries to change things, people actually get upset. And for some of you who've been around for a long time, if you were licensed in 2006, you'll remember that RECA actually came out and said, everybody has to have a written service agreement before you can even show them a house. They actually tried to do that in 2006. And of course, the industry went crazy and said, no, we don't want to do that. They made up so much noise, they actually changed their the rule on it. And then we've been following the same rule to this day, and that is to get written service agreements done when it's appropriate. But this is a good illustration of what that is. You cannot become what you want to be because you are too attached to what you have been. And I want everybody to think about this message as we move into this week and we talk about buyers, is there may be a little bit of thinking that you're hanging on to. And, you know, to move forward and be successful in life or in business, you have to sometimes let go of old thinking. You just do, right? This is how it is. And but it's amazing how many of us can get very attached to our old way of thinking and not really embrace new ways of thinking. And I think that's why when we come to these meetings every Monday or take any type of training, we want to always be open to maybe trying something new and letting go of some of our old thinking and not have this idea of, well, things don't work. I don't know how many conferences I've even been to over the years where I've been in either in other parts of Canada or other parts of the US, and the instructor will come up with some really cool idea, and right away, we were told, or people would say, well, that won't work in my market. I've had that feedback. Well, that might work in your market, but it won't work in my market. And I've come to the conclusion that people are people, and that a lot of things will actually work in any market. So it's just a limited belief, you know, to say that it won't work in our market, but it'll work in your market. Yeah. Now, Korea update. I've just been following this just a little bit, and I'm not like the most well versed on what's happening with this, but I just wanted everyone to be aware of this, because everybody should pay attention to this. Korea does have an open forum on April 16th. And this is to ensure the organization prioritizes ample time for consultation and engagement. And Korea's board of directors has recently decided that there will not be any vote on the draft business case at the 2024 Korea AGM. So they're not going to have a vote, but there is an open forum that that everybody who is a member of Korea can attend, because Korea is making some changes, and they made a statement here they wanted everybody to be clear about. It said the vision for the future of Realtor.ca is that it remains Canada's premier real estate technology platform, that it be first and best to search as or more relevant to shifting consumer demographics, designed to bring in customers and realtors together and self-sustaining. Number one, Realtor.ca is not for sale and never will be. They wanted to make that very clear. And realtors will be the only owners of the new company via their membership with Korea. No shares in the new company will be leveraged, sold, licensed, or subscribed, and all new company net revenue will be reinvested in Realtor.ca to maintain and grow its leading market position in service to realtors and consumers. Now, I'm not the authority on Realtor.ca, but I do know this. Realtor.ca is one of the most visited websites in all of Canada. Yeah, the most. And we've had the luxury in Canada of seeing the mistakes that the US made. And we all know Realtor.com is not as well known as some of their competitors like Zillow. If you go down to the States and you were to walk up to the average person on the street and say, what website would you go to if you wanted to get real estate information? The average person in the US would say, oh, I just go to Zillow, because Zillow has done this amazing job of marketing, and they're just sucking data that's coming out of the real estate boards, and then they're creating the environment where you can look for properties. We have, in Canada, we did not want that to happen, which is why Realtor.ca is still the most recognized website in Canada. And I think we all of us should be mindful to protect it. I think it's in our best interest to keep that website top of mind and not sell out to it. But there are other companies, including Zillow, who still trying to get traction in Canada. And I will say this, I believe in business competition. I do. I personally don't have any issue with Zillow coming into Canada. They have a right to do business like everybody else does. However, that being said, we as an industry also have the right to keep our website at the top and not let another company take our place. We have that ability to do that, and I do support that. So I think everybody should be involved in this, and I welcome everybody to come to that forum and state your opinions about it. I brought this up for Calgary, and by the way, as time goes by, if something comes up in Central Alberta or Edmonton, of course, I'll bring this up too. But I just thought it was worth bringing up for our agents in Calgary because of this this rezoning proposal that's on the table, and CREB is against it. Yeah, they're super against it. And I'm not gonna do a deep dive into this. All of you, if you want to learn a little more, you can do some of your own research. This is just a little bit more of an awareness for everybody to be aware of, is that the city of Calgary is proposing a citywide rezoning, which comes down to this, is that these rezonings, the RCG, which stands for grade-oriented infill district, and RG, which stands for low-density mixed housing district. They're looking at, the bottom line is, if to summarize this, anywhere in the city that would have, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, if you have enough size lot to do it, you could put additional property, like a laneway house, onto your property. You like the sound of it.
Yeah, or like
It's difficult for parking.
Everything comes with that's the whole idea, is creating higher density. So also there'll be a lot more of properties like this that you're going to see, and you'll notice it in already in some of the inner city properties, you know, like if you've got a corner lot, you can put a lot of these townhouses on there. So you're just going to see a lot of these higher density properties. So this is just an awareness. Like I said, I'm not going to do too much deep dive into this, but I really think if you're in Calgary, you should really understand this, because if this proposal does in fact end up coming into law, you're going to be able to see a tremendous amount of different lots that you'll be able to build properties like this. And it's going to have an impact on its value. It's also going to have an impact on the community. So there's pros and cons to it. That's why I think CREB is against it. Julie just said parking is a big issue. I do know, like, I have a property in Altadore, and I mean, I've watched how Altadore has changed over the years, and parking is kind of a real pain there. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, it's just, that's the one drawback. Now, you know, high density homes, it's needed. We do have a housing crisis. We're trying to figure this out. The city's trying to come up with what the solution is, but I don't know that anybody really has the magic formula for the housing crisis. Like, there's no easy formula for this. But these are some of the things that they're proposing that that we just need to be aware of, because it's our job to guide and direct people on values and the impact on this for our clients. So that's why it's important that everybody just be aware of it.
Do you think that they're doing that in order to get federal tax dollars for housing development?
I would think that that's one reason. I mean, they're claiming, the city, or like our mayor is claiming, well, we just need more housing to meet the demand, you know, but more housing does mean more tax dollars. And they kind of go hand in hand, right? Now, I've constantly look at, you know, how Alberta is positioned when it comes to energy, because all of us who've been in real estate for a long time know that energy prices do affect our province and real estate throughout the whole province of Alberta. And so I like looking at this stuff. And again, I bring this up for all of us, because these are the kind of articles that are really good to talk about on social media. This is really good articles to talk about on video, because all of your clients, I don't care who you are, everybody always likes to know what they think the market's going to do, right? Everybody is always looking, even though nobody can ever give the precise answer of what the market will ultimately do, but we're always trying to figure out, is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Is it going to stay the same? Is this a good time to buy? Is this a good time to sell? And all we can do is really look at things that possibly impact the housing market. The only thing that most people know right now is that, yeah, there's people moving to Alberta. We have all this influx of people moving to Alberta. Well, will that continue? Of course, we don't know for sure. But what we do know for sure is that we need revenue and we need jobs in the province of Alberta. We do need that to sustain the economic environment, which also sustains real estate. So these articles are good. The crude oil price is steady despite global tensions. And you know, we're sitting right now at $78 a barrel. And this is healthy for Alberta right now. Like it's healthy for Alberta. But for those of us that have been around Alberta a long time, we know that these oil prices, they always change. And it's amazing that they can change quickly as well, right? I mean, we've seen things just drop and then usually real estate kind of drops with it.
Soon as the wars are over.
Well, that's what a lot of people think. If some of these conflicts that are happening in the world, if it ends, will we see a more of a larger supply of oil and then the price go down?
And then people from overseas won't need to come to Canada.
There may be, the Ukrainians may stop coming, you know, so because there's still a lot of people coming from Ukraine. So these conflicts, you know, it is kind of sad but true, but Alberta always benefits from global conflicts. Unfortunately, yeah, we do. There's a lot of markets right now that are not doing very well with higher interest rates, and you know they're not affected by energy, but we tend to benefit from these global conflicts. And it's true, when these global conflicts end, oftentimes there is a correction in oil, and I think this is why, you know, it's even though we can never predict how things will play out when it comes to the markets, but I bring this up because, you know, the question is, your buyers are asking you, is this really a good time to buy real estate? That's the question that comes up every day. Like, what day, as a real estate agent, when you meet someone interested in real estate, does that question just not come up every day? Like really, should I buy now? Like, it seems like this market is so hot. Should I really buy right now? And then of course, even the sellers are saying, should I wait? Maybe if I wait another 6 months, my house will be worth more. Should I do that? And they look at you like you should know. So I constantly like to look at this because I say, look, nobody knows. Nobody has a crystal ball, but this is what I'm looking at. These are some of the articles I'm looking at. And, you know, if you're really going to follow oil and gas in Alberta, you know, then you can pay attention to this. Because waiting for the US rate cuts, this is where Sandro gets his attention. See, I said that and right away he looked. Because for those of you that don't know, Sandro Mosca, he's with RBC and he works out of our Calgary office. He's fantastic and he understands what goes on with rates and inflation. But Jerome Powell, not Jamie Powell, Jerome Powell, cooled enthusiasm for an early rate cut and markets turned from risky bets towards safe haven assets, including the US dollar, which reached its highest level in 3 months. Isn't that interesting? So it was about a month ago that there was a lot of talk that we would see rate cuts coming pretty quick. And now that talk seems to have cooled off a little bit and we're more in a holding pattern, are we not?
Yeah, there's a lot of analysts that are saying that the current rate environment may not be enough to bring inflation back.
Right.
I think they're still in a wait and see pattern.
Yep.
Of course, that's affecting the markets, right? Because of the uncertainty that's around.
Yep. That's exactly right. So interest rates may not be coming down as quickly as we maybe thought about a month ago. But interestingly enough, these interest rates are not slowing our Alberta market down. Like, we have a very strong Alberta market. Literally, if you look at the real estate sales, all the way from Fort McMurray down to Lethbridge and everything in between, its stuff is selling and moving. It's unbelievable. So the interest rates are not really affecting us too much. I personally don't think they will too much in Alberta, but I do think that if we see a big correction in oil prices, we could see a problem there. Because there's always a problem. Even though our province is more diversified today than it's ever been, we still are very heavily weighted on energy to this day. So if you're a seller, you know, and I had this conversation with a client last week that actually said to me, you know, by the way this market's going, Rob, we're just thinking, you know, we were going to put it on now. It's late February. Maybe we should wait till June. This way, the way this market is going, maybe we'll get another $20,000 more, right? Maybe. So you know what I said to my client? Have you ever played blackjack? He goes, yeah. I said, do you stay on 17 or do you hit? I know. And he said to me, so we're at 17? I go, yes, we are. Yeah, maybe you're right. He says, I think maybe we should sell now. See? That's all I had to say. I didn't tell him what to do. I just asked him, do you hit 17 or stay?
That's great. I'm using that one.
Good.
Yeah.
No major market imbalances for the moment, just risks. There we go. This the article. See, all of you can read this. I'll send it out to you. All of you can read it, and you could, like I said, talk about this in your social media, because when you talk about this on your social media or on a video, remember what happens. Even though you're not ever making predictions, but you're looking like you're the expert. That's what makes it work. People see you as the expert, they want to call you. Okay, let's shift gears. I want to talk about the 1 hour open house. For some of you, especially for our Central Alberta agents that haven't seen this before, but I got this idea when I went down to Florida last fall and I saw the success of it. Agents were having phenomenal success with this 1 hour open house. Now, first of all, the reason it's 1 hour is that you're creating a frenzy. You know, most of us did open houses from like 1 to 3. This creates a frenzy. But what happens when there's a frenzy? There's a lot of spillover that goes on with this. Not only does it look great when all these people show up at the open house at the same time, because it feels like, you know, oh my goodness, this is a hot property. If you're interested, I guess you better do something right away or it could be gone. But don't underestimate the impact of what the neighbors and people driving around see. If they saw an open house and people standing outside waiting to get in, what kind of an impact that has on maybe getting more business. And so now that we're getting closer and closer into the warmer weather in the spring market, you know, these open houses are going to really be, to me, could be a very successful part of your business if you do it right. So we ran a 1 hour open house yesterday, and I got the feedback. Actually, Kathy and Alyssa Bennett did one in Silver Springs. And I'll tell you exactly what we did, and I'm going to have Morgan talk to some of these ads in a second. But to make it successful, it's like anything. Anytime you want to get a lot of people come to one event, what do you have to do? You got to promote it. That's right. What does the average realtor do? Well, I'll put it on realtor.ca. I'll put a few signs up around the neighborhood. I'll try to capture some cars driving by, and I'll put it on realtor.ca. And I'll do an open house from maybe 1 to 3, or maybe from 1 to 4, and you know, and it'll make my seller happy. Well, that's not a good strategy if you're trying to get more business. So you got to really promote this, and you have to promote it by sending out postcards. We've learned this, sending out postcards to the neighborhood. And think about it for a minute. Why do we want to send out postcards to the neighborhood? Do we think one of the neighbors is going to buy the house? Probably not. Whenever I would do open houses, the first question I asked when somebody walked in, do you live in the neighborhood? I asked that question because if they live in the neighborhood, they're a seller. They're only here because they're thinking of selling their house probably in the next 6 months to a year. And they want to know what this house is worth. Your client, that's the seller, they think they're just the nosy neighbors. They're not nosy neighbors. They're sellers. Now, well, they could be nosy neighbors, I guess, but most of the time they actually are thinking of selling their house. You know, that's part of being nosy. They want to know. Now, I know that I know our seller clients probably don't want to hear this, but it is the truth. When we do open houses, we're of course, job number one, we want to sell the house. That's a given. Hands down. It would be wonderful if somebody walked into our open house and said, hey, I love this house. Can I make an offer? And that's ultimately what we're hoping to do. But as real estate agents, look, as much as we work on we have an active listing and an active client, what else are we always working on? Getting a new client. We're hunters. Hunters are always hunting for new business because we know that we're going to end up ultimately helping our current client, but we need another client ready to go. So these open houses, when you have people lined up outside and the neighbors see this, what happens? You have that neighbor's going, look at what's going on across the street. That Michael Newton character at Coldwell Banker Mountain Central's got 14 people lined up outside to get into an open house. That's the realtor I want to sell my house. See, makes sense. People love a frenzy for that reason. So what we did is we got the QR code. We did have a couple of problems with it. I think we've solved it now. I think we realized the mistake that we made we need the QR code to go to a landing page. We need to make the sign in really simple. But what I learned when I was in Orlando is you want every person to go to the QR code and they sign in before they get in the house. And if they don't sign in, they don't get in.
It's not even that complicated either. We just use a Google form. You just have to make sure the settings are good.
Some people struggled with it, but anyway, Morgan, I want you to show a little bit on some of the ads that we ran for this open house. Can you do that?
Yeah. Actually, I prepared something for this, so I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, let me stop sharing mine and you can share yours. There you go.
Okay. Just trying to find the window. Here we go. Okay, can you guys see that? Did you say yes? He's okay. Okay, I've taught this before, so I just put this together in a presentation, but it's also all on the portal as well. So I'll just go through kind of the strategy behind everything. Just like Rob was saying, like you're using your listing to get more listings. That's the point of this. You kind of have to shift your mindset with how you're approaching your open house, which means that your marketing is going to have not only things about the house, but it's also going to have things about you as an agent or your services, because you want the people who are coming to the open house to see what you do, who you are, and have, you know, something to ask about beyond, you know, just the house. So the campaign, the best timeline is always to give yourself 2 weeks before the listing goes live in order to get this done, because the strategy is that you will market it as much as you possibly can before the open house, before it even goes live. And I know we have some regulations around what you can post and what you can say before it goes live. So all of this is within that. The 2 weeks is really to help you prepare for like photos, make sure you have photos in time to create all the marketing content in time, so that as soon as it's like, you know, the 3 or 4 days before, you can really push it up until your open house. I found the best success has been with the postcards, which ultimately you have to have photos done 2 weeks before. Then you can have the postcards printed and sent out. It takes 3 days once you drop them off. So that's honestly the biggest part of the time frame there. The first thing you're going to do, obviously, like I just said, photos and video. When you're taking your photos of the home, it's a good idea to go and get some social media content, even just a little bit of real content that you can post about the house. Like I said, you're going to push it hard. So you want to have every piece of content that you can grab it possible. So you'll get your professional photos. If you've got budget for the video, do a walkthrough video. You can put a QR code to your own video on all your marketing of you walking through the house. You can do your own like selfie video of you walking through the house. It doesn't matter. Just get content at this point. The next thing is, like I was saying, is the postcards. That's animated. It shouldn't be animated, but this is an example of what our postcards look like. So we send out just a couple pictures, a little blurb. We use ChatGPT to get the little blurb. The Scan Me code, we use a company called Zune for photography, and they give us a property page when they send us the photos. So I actually can send out like information or just the photos of the home and like our remarks that we make on the postcard like this. So it doesn't link to the listing, but it still gives someone a chance to get that information on the home, see more pictures before they come. And I track that QR code. So this is key on using QR codes, is you should be using a program. It's called geniuslink.com. I've used Flowcode. Basically any QR code generator that allows you to track the link clicks is the best thing to use. Also, what's so awesome, when we talk about QR codes, I'll share this. He talks about how we had difficulties on Saturday. What happened is the form that we had it set up to, I don't know, we just like lost access to this form, but the QR code that we had printed out and had on the door wasn't going to change. I was able to use my program and change the direction of where that link was going to go to. So I could just use the same QR code to a completely new form. So I was able to fix it without having to reprint and things like that. So if you think about your print marketing, and if you print a QR code and say it goes live, you could go and update that QR code. All the ones that have been sent out are now going to be that new updated QR code link. That might be a little techie for some of you, but using a program that you can edit your QR codes, adjust them, update them, it's super beneficial. And tracking them allows you to retarget. So it gives you a whole new campaign. So everybody who engaged with that postcard, everybody who scanned that QR code is now going to go into your retargeting. Here's the example of what we sent out for this one. I'm so sorry about the animations, kind of distracting, but the front and the back. So you'll see that we have the front with the property information, but you have the back side for a whole other call to action. So we use this 4 big reasons to hire us, and we put that on the back with another QR code to get some more resources about selling. So really utilize your whole campaign to give not only property information, but a call to action to call you with value. That's key here, is giving value for working with you on top of value to see the property. Then I put together an email campaign. I try to do a three email campaign when I have enough time. I do one the week before, middle week, and then the day before is usually like the timeline for that. I like to put pictures of the house. I like to add a calendar link so that they can click and they can just add it to their Google Calendar. They'll get a notification. I have it all set up like I would in my own calendar. And then I share that link into the email so that people can add it to their own. They get the notification. It's on there. It's a great way to keep people involved, especially as you're marketing the property beforehand, right? If you had someone click through your email the week before, they can add it to their calendar. It'll pop up on that Saturday that it's coming up. And even if they don't see any of your other emails, how valuable is that? And I track that link click too. So anybody who's putting it on their calendar is going to go into my retargeting. Cool, huh? I'll click through to this really quick. This will just take you to an example of the email campaign. I do use MailChimp for this. We have a large database. I wouldn't worry too much. Sorry, this is taking a minute. I wouldn't worry too much about it being so super pretty. if that's not something that you have available. However, you can email your whole database, do it that way, but include, things that are going to keep people engaged and wanting to click through. Goodness.
I was gonna say, you'd be amazed, how many past clients in your database will actually come to your open house. And they might not even be interested in that open house itself, but they just want to come and see you, talk to you, and see the house. It's like an outing on a Saturday. But they'll show up, and you may find yourself with maybe a new listing appointment on their house.
So this is an example of the email that we send out. I use ChatGPT to come up with all our stuff. So we do that for remarks anyway. So Alyssa does a great job of dumping in all the information about the home into ChatGPT, giving it pictures, giving it past remarks, all the information. And then I've got a chat open of ChatGPT understanding what property we're talking about. And then I just tell it to pump me out content. So I'll be like, I need a 3 email campaign. I need a 5 social medias posts written out for me. I need a blurb for our postcards. Like ChatGPT just pops it out for me, and we just go through it, make sure it sounds nice, looks good. It's so easy. So that's how we get this little blurb here, and we just invite people to that 1 hour. This is the add to your calendar button. So you can see it takes you right to putting it on your Google Calendar. And, oh, I'm in Vegas, so it's, no. Anyway, so it has the address in here. I put in a notifications for 30 minutes before the open house. All the information about the open house is here with some details, and they just have to save that to their calendar, and they'll receive that, notification 30 minutes before. You can update that however you want. But yeah, that's all in the email. And then of course I've got a selling proposition at the bottom. So, Rob's team is all into the guaranteed sold and love your home or we'll buy it back guarantee. We use those guarantees in all of our marketing, and whether you're using those guarantees or you just have a service, a slogan, something unique about what you do, put that there.
Yeah, and that home buyer guarantee is pretty good too. With the
Yeah.
home warranty, which we're gonna talk about that on Friday.
Okay, so that's the email campaign. All 3 emails look really, really similar to that. Oh, they don't like my pictures on this one. Social media, same thing. So I would say post every day about it. Like I said, I'm popping it out of ChatGPT. And the paid ad. There's a couple ways to do paid ads. Now, because we have so many channels, like we have a huge database, we've got a decent amount of followers online. I don't use the paid ad for lead gen at this point, because the purpose of my paid ad is to get reach. I want tons of people coming to the open house. I want people there. I want it to show up a ton on their feed so they're reminded to be there. I feel like the best lead gen is going to be the person who sees it so much and is compelled to come to the open house, and I get their information at the open house. Personally, that's how I'm doing it. However, depending on the situation, you may want to put a form with your ad, so that when they ask for the address, you can capture their information after they fill in the form, and then they get the address. It's entirely up to you. Because we do postcards, I'm okay doing it without the form. Because we have so much engagement, because I know the postcards are going to bring people to it, I'm good with a low ad that just gets them lots and lots and lots and lots. So I use an awareness campaign. But like I said, feel free to make that a form campaign. If you're low on budget and you really need to get the most out of it, put in the form so that you get people's information as soon as they want to know about the open house. But this is honestly all I'm posting. I use a carousel ad sometimes. I put together, like it has our USP all over it. It's got multiple pictures of the home. It's 1 hour. Like, it's super simple. I would say that the social media ads are the least effective part of this campaign. Your personal posts, your constant posting about it is going to be probably one of the best, and the postcards and the email. The paid ad is like, because you can't target into the neighborhood, you can't get super into it. That's another reason why I'm good with the awareness campaign, because I want it to be just hitting their feed all the time if they're interested in it. Then we go live on the MLS. So after I've done all of those things, I've kind of scheduled all of that out. I've gotten that all prepared. We go live on the MLS about 24 hours before the open house, and we put the open house on the MLS. Signage. Signage was
Just one
huge when they
second, Morgan.
presented this. What?
Just 1 second. I was gonna say, when you put it on MLS too, this is what I do, is we have, I don't want any showings to happen until the open house. So I block it off on showing time, because so if it's gonna be at 1 o'clock on Saturday, we'll list it late in the day, Friday, but I want everybody coming at once to create the frenzy. So even if there's realtors bringing their clients, they're all coming at once.
Mm-hmm.
You block it
Yeah.
out as well, or?
After
Yeah,
the open house is over, then showing time's open for viewings, but just that nobody's allowed to see it before the open house. So I want to get as many people, so everyone knows that from 1 to 2, you don't have to book a showing. You can just come. It's an open house. You can come. But then after the open house, yes, you'll just book it on showing time. But it's powerful when you've got, say even 5 realtors show up with their clients, along with all these other clients or people in the neighborhood and whatnot. Can you imagine what that looks like to a realtor with their client when they show up and there's all these people there, right? I mean, you talk about possibly generating an offer for your client right on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The whole point is that you want them all at that time, only that time. That's the only time that they can come see it. Like, you want that to be the message of all your marketing, for 1 hour only, come see it.
Mm-hmm.
Signage. Okay. So we do as much signage as we possibly can. One of the guys who does 1 hour open houses that presented to us back in that conference said that he honestly just budgets in that he's going to lose some signage. So this part of the strategy, you must be okay with just losing some money to cheap signs. But I will say, in my experience of running open houses in the last 12 years, I've done some in Utah as well, and just marketing for you guys. I've seen the power of signage. I've seen the power of having that around the neighborhood. And what they did is they had signs up for the whole week. So they would put out those like tiny little, we bought some too. They just don't do well in the snow. So, that's something to consider, that it's different up there. But we bought a ton of little like post signs that just have the little wire that stick down that just said, open house Saturday 1 to 2. With directional signs and things like that. You could make some signage for the address, or, point is, the longer you have the signs up, the more signs you have up, the more the neighborhood's going to get involved in what's going on. So I suggest definitely a rider for the whole week, or at least a few days before the open house, that says open house 1 to 2 Saturday, whatever time you typically do it. And then obviously have like some of the sandwich boards out, use those, but signage, it's totally part of the strategy. Really get into it, look at the neighborhood, at some of the streets that would be really good for people to come to it. Make sure that you've hit all of those corners, and you add as many signs as you can. And I would keep them out, like I said, for a while. Just make sure that it says Saturday 1 to 2, like you want your signage to be pretty specific. But if that would be a huge part of the strategy that would definitely bring in some of the neighborhoods. I would say signs and postcards are your best part of this campaign.
Yeah.
Dang. I'm just.
So QR registration, we've talked a little bit about this. I'm going to show you what we printed out in just a second here, but we just make a Google form. If you have like if you're not using like a @gmail.com and you have like a workspace, you maybe have, like, we have robvenoteam.ca as our email. And so we have a Google workspace. The issues that I've come up with is that I once set up a form that only people in our organization could fill it out. So they got to the QR code and no one could fill it out. So you have to really look at your settings of your Google form, make sure that anybody can answer it. Everybody's like, it's all open and the security settings are all open so that anyone who scans it can just fill it out. I did try a landing page one time and it didn't work as well either. Like, I would say the Google form is tried and true at this point. So just make sure that you've got your settings all up. And then these are the questions that we ask on that Google form. So your name, how many people you came with, your phone number, email, do you want a hot list, and do you want a home evaluation? That kind of just tells us if they're a buyer or a seller. Okay, so let me show you some examples of our marketing.
You created all this in Canva, didn't you, Morgan?
Yeah, we do pretty much everything in Canva. So this would be what we did for this last one. So we print, this is basically this design we use for pretty much everything. It's like our bones. So we create this and then we'll copy it into a postcard size and we'll copy it into like a feature sheet size. So the feature sheet gets printed with this on the front and the postcard, actually. This is how we do it. The postcard gets this on the front and one of these messages on the back. I typically use the seller one on the back. And then at the open house, we create pages. So I'll show you here. We use the front and the back, and then the front and then the back. So we have like a buyer flyer and a seller flyer available at the open house. And then I have a back that's like a front and a back of just the property. We don't bring like too many of this because it's all QR code anyway. But we'll have like different versions and it kind of looks like we have packets of things and it's all about the same thing. This is the scan page. So this QR code, this is what this QR code scanned to the wrong form this weekend. I was able to update it like within 5 seconds and have it ready and working again. Even though we had it already printed, they were already at the open house. So it was easy, but yeah, we just slap this on the door and people scan it as they come in. I can show you that form. This is the form. So when they scan it, they just get here and they just filled this out. So nothing crazy, nothing special, but that's how it is. I just wanted to show you too that on the portal under videos and training, if ever you have an open house, you can just come to the videos and training. This is like our blog in the portal, and there's a 1-hour open house procedure. And everything that I've talked about is in a lovely little checklist. And it'll give you basically step by step what to do, where to do it. And then at the bottom, I have examples of what I've run. So we've got the packet, we've got the form, social media campaign. This is how I prepared it. Notes. In the notes, you'll see that this is the post that goes with the day one picture. Then we've got like the last page goes on every single one of them. And there's just pictures that go along with each post. And then you go to day 2, you'll see a new post. So I went through pictures of this house and just created, like 3 to 5 pictures each day, and then had a post to go with it. So, yeah, that's kind of how I created my social media campaign. You guys can get an idea of what I created, and it's all in ChatGPT. And then the postcard example is also there. It's basically the same as the packet. This is Oh yeah, so this is the template you guys can use. If you want to copy what we did, you know, use it as you want. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Then it's all in the follow-up, you know?
Well done, Morgan. So there we go. I know Morgan went through a lot there. This is why we've put it on the CBMC office portal.
Mhm.
Obviously, this call is being taped as well, so we wanted just to show you what can be done. If you really like the look of this, and I can tell you, I mean, we've just started doing the 1 hour open house so far this year. This is the second one that I've done, but so far it's really been successful. I really think done correctly with all of the marketing, if you put a lot into it, like this, there's a lot of moving parts, so there's a lot of preparation to put into this. But think of this for a minute. Let me just summarize it by showcasing the obvious. You have the opportunity of maybe selling the house the first day it hits the market with all of the buzz that's coming. Number two, you can actually take a picture or even a video of all the people that came to the open house. How powerful would it be to be able to have a video we could post if there were literally 15 people standing outside waiting to get into your open house, and be able to blast that out on your social media? The fact that you have all these people going onto the QR code, there's Morgan's even putting pictures of people coming in. So all these people are going to the QR code. So now you have all of their contact information for when the open house is over, and you can follow up. So if some of these people maybe that came to the open house that were buyers, it wasn't the right house for them, well, obviously now you have an opportunity to have a discussion with them about maybe what it is that they're looking for, and possibly you might be the real estate agent that's going to help them with making that purchase, because chances are they don't have a real estate agent. That's why they came to the open house without their realtor. So you can see, for the effort that you put in, the bottom line is it accomplishes a lot of things. You might sell the house quickly. You might get more money for the house. You pick up some possible sellers in the same area that want to sell their house, and a whole bunch of buyers. And all of that by simply putting in some extra heavy lifting work to prepare for the open house, which is what 99% of most realtors do. They won't put that kind of work into an open house. Most of the agents that do an open house, they're watching the football game while the open house is on. This open house brings in so much people. You'll have so much fun with it, and the potential of having all that business. So if you do have any questions about that, I mean, you can reach out to Morgan and Alyssa as well, and they'll answer any more questions for you. And if you have anything even you want to throw onto the chat, go ahead. All right, moving along. Now that you can all see me, I feel so much better now. It was kind of awkward there for a while when you couldn't see me. This right here came up as I was preparing for this meeting, and I was getting some feedback just from some realtors in our office that are really just trying to get their business jump started this year. And we're showing you some things that you can do. The open house was one of them. Well, the other one is, of course, I think any one of us could improve on how we get referrals and what questions that we should be asking. And this goes back to Ninja, and maybe Michael Newton, who's really an expert on Ninja along with me. This goes back to asking the right questions. I think the worst thing you can do is just call up a client, or maybe you run into a client and just say, "Hi, do you know anyone that's buying or selling?" Because referrals are my greatest compliment.
Well,
Favorite thing. So bad.
You could give me a really good compliment right now by just giving me a referral, right? Yeah. So, you could put this out. See, the thing is, on video, is you don't even have to necessarily call your client. You could text them this. You could put out a video on this. It can go on social media. But these are the kind of questions you ask, because remember, think about it for a minute. Sandra, the last time you sold your house, did you call up everybody in your database to tell them and make the announcement? No. Like, you and your wife you discussed it and said, okay, I think we're gonna sell our house. I think we're gonna buy another house. These are the reasons, but can you imagine your wife going, okay, well, first thing you gotta do is you gotta create an email campaign. We gotta make this big announcement, like it's a wedding or something, that everybody has to know that we're gonna buy and sell a house. No, that's ridiculous. We don't do that. So the truth is, I could be a good friend of yours, but I may not even know that you're selling because you haven't even told me. I mean, you might tell me after. A lot of times people just say, yeah, guess what? We just bought a house. And you might make the announcement. Well, that's too late. As a real estate agent, that's just way too late. So what we're going to look for is, why would people make a move? And the truth of the matter is, Sandro and I might be working together, and he might have said to me, Rob, I'm getting a little sick and tired of driving all the way down to this office on Glenmore and Blackfoot. I wish it was I lived a little bit closer. You see, that comment might have been given to me. And then if Michael was my realtor and he said to me, hey, do you know anybody that's driving a long distance that's getting sick and tired of it? And right away I'd be like, yeah, actually Sandro in my office just mentioned the other day, he's getting sick and tired of driving to the office. That's how you pick up a good referral. So these are the questions. Have you had an increase in family size? Do you have children aged 10 and under? Teenage children? Have children who have just left home recently? Are living below their means? Have lived in the same house for 7 years or more? You don't think to ask that question, but it's true. You know, it's amazing how many people move every 5 to 7 years. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Have had their company expand in the past year, have had their company downsize in the past year, have received a substantial inheritance. If they own a building lot, they're getting married, getting divorced and married. Maybe in the same day. You never know. Have a dream for wake-up money. Michael, what is wake-up money?
Wake up money. Well, this is the money that you make when you're sleeping, really.
Right. In other words, it's an investment property. I mean, Larry Kendall from Ninja calls it wake up money because it's making you money while you sleep. And so, yeah, and that's actually a great way to talk about that on your social media. Just say, this could be a great time to invest in some wake up money. And I like how he says that too. Have a dream to live anywhere. And of course, are you commuting over so many hours per day? These are the kind of questions that you want to start asking. I can tell you, if you do this and you do this correctly with video or even making phone calls or even whatever way you want to connect with your past clients, you're going to have a higher chance of referral if you just ask those questions. And also, the thing about it is, a lot of times your clients, yeah, they might know the person at the office that mentioned that they're driving a long way, or they're just going through a divorce or what it might be. You could say something like, I put together every single month, I do this amazing video, that talks about the market. It's got all kinds of stats about what's going on. Maybe that person at the office might really appreciate just having that. And you could let them know that we could just give them that. Because sometimes people are still in the early stages and they're almost terrified. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm ready for a real estate agent to call me. I just found out last night I was getting divorced.
Right.
So, but they would like to get a little information. We just want to make that connection. That's planting the seeds and doing it correctly by asking the right questions. Always remember, if you don't ask the right questions, you don't get the right answers. That's what it comes down to. So focus more on the right questions and you'll get a lot better for referral business.
Say that staying in the flow is so important. Those questions will naturally come up in conversation. If we are in the flow with our clients, our sphere, our networking groups and all of that, we're going to have natural conversations about what's going on in life. Somebody will mention somebody that is going through a divorce, or somebody that's having a baby, or somebody that's, and at that point in that conversation, you're already top of mind, and it becomes a natural process of referral when these inflow conversations are happening.
Yeah, that's a good point. as Michael was saying, if you're used to just having it in a flow of a conversation, it just naturally just comes into the conversation. It's not like an awkward moment where you're in the middle of a conversation, say, can we pause for a moment? By the way, do you know someone that's having a baby?
Right.
That's an awkward pause. You're saying is that it just comes natural in the conversation and you might even be able to kind of direct the conversation towards it, but it just flows naturally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it doesn't come across like you're actually really looking for a referral.
Yeah, because then that's what commission breadth is coming in. It
Right.
actually hurts us.
Commission breath, I like that.
It actually hurts us more than, it actually hurts us more than helps us. It's supposed to just be genuinely interested in the person and in what's going on with that. And if it doesn't come up, it's okay. You keep the relationship.
Right.
You move on to the next one and then you touch base later and it's just staying in the flow. That's the key.
Yeah, you don't want to be that realtor's like, you're not leaving this conversation unless you give me a referral.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, now, some of you have asked me, lately, there's been a few of you that said, Rob, this market is pretty hot, but I'm still trying to get my share of the market. And it's an interesting year because some of you are actually having a phenomenal year so far. I mean, we're almost 2 months into 2024, and some of you are knocking it out of the park. And I was, by the way, I was blown away when I saw just what was even going on in central Alberta. Like, you wouldn't believe there's a lot of business going on in central Alberta. It's incredible. And hats off to our agents that are doing such a great job there. But Edmonton is taking off as we expected. I mean, that market, we're seeing multiple offers in Edmonton. And of course, Calgary is continuing to be strong as well. So there's no shortage of business. So if right at this moment you would like to be busier, it means that there's some things that you just need to work on because the business is there. You just have to get your foot in the door, so to speak. So I put together a lot of this stuff everybody already knows, but sometimes we all need a little bit of a reminder that some of this stuff here is available to us if we want to work at it. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of you should do every one on this list. I actually think that there's 5 or 6 or 7 things that we could be doing. We should really focus on which ones that we want to put our attention into and develop the skill set that goes with it. Like I just talked about that 1 hour open houses. Open houses themselves, they are a skill set and you can get very good at them and you can have a really successful year doing them, but that's just one thing. There's always the for sale by owners current, but they also talk about for sale by owners past. I mean, how many for sale by owners have maybe tried to list, even going back a few years ago, that might be ready to do it again? It's easy to forget about them. We all know about our past client database. We talk about that all the time. We just talked about asking for referrals. Customer service audit. A customer service audit is really if I can tell you just recently I did this. I sent out a text message to my entire database and I said, basically announcing that the market is very active right now and that if anyone would like to get at least an idea of what their current value is, because the values have actually changed quite a bit in the last 6 months. And if you just like to get an idea of what the value of your home is, more or less just for information or just to compare it to the tax assessments, because the tax assessments have just come out recently and people look at them and they're wondering, and there's some strange tax assessments right now. There's some that have actually come in, I think, even too high, and some that are still coming in too low. So tax assessment is always confusing. So that's what a good customer service audit is, just asking your database if you'd be happy to just give them an update on what their market is doing for their property. Asking your own tenants to buy. Some of you that are landlords, you might think, well, I got a good tenant. I don't want to wreck it and ask them to buy a house. The truth of the matter is you can probably find another tenant, but hey, it may not be a bad idea. And your tenants also, especially if you've got younger tenants, they know people that are buying. So why not go to your tenants and talk to them? And you know what? I've done this myself, by the way. I had tenants where I've said, hey, they told me they're thinking of buying in the next year. And I said, well, why don't we have a coffee and I'll explain to you how to successfully buy a house. And that can go very well. And, not only maybe they'll use you when they go to buy, but chances are they've got friends. They're like, oh, this is amazing information. I should tell this to my friend that just told me that they were buying a house. Rental homes, like if you go on to like Rent Faster, take a look at those properties. Some of these people might consider selling as opposed to renting. You never know. I think there's an opportunity there. We know though, getting involved in clubs, organizations that you belong to, you know, church, synagogues, Chamber of Commerce, there's all kinds of different clubs you can be a part of. To me, every real estate agent should be part of some kind of an organization. Every single one. You're part of 3, yeah? Good for you. Yep.
Started this.
And it's already paying off.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Those relationships are powerful when you're part of an organization.
BNI. FBI.
Oops. Neighbor to your homeschool alumni, congrats promotion. I'm not even sure what that one means, but I like this one too. Niche marketing, apartment commercial owners, doctors, high income professionals. You know these buildings now, and I don't know how many they have in Edmonton or Central Alberta, but I do know there's a number of buildings in Calgary now that are just rentals. I think Edmonton's doing the same thing, where they've got these buildings that are literally all just rentals. Wouldn't that be a good place to market yourself with all those people? Because how many people who are renting would say to you, oh, I am going to rent the rest of my life. I have no plans to ever buy a property. I will be an eternal renter. How many renters say that?
10%.
Maybe 10%. Every renter has plans to buy. Almost every renter has plans to buy. They're just, at this moment, maybe their situation is they have to rent for now, but they have every intention of buying. And of course, those kind of buildings would be perfect to be marketing yourself. Birth announcements, empty nesters, relocation companies. Oh my goodness. I've had good success with relocation companies, even though they drive me crazy. Like they annoy the hell out of me, but there is business there. Yeah, I know, because a lot of realtors want to get on the list. Yeah, sometimes you just have to know somebody and you have to be persistent. But I can tell you, if you can get in with the right people, they can be very good for you. Of course, the guaranteed sold postcards are good. The Facebook marketplace ads, and you can always message Morgan about that. There's, you know, when it comes to marketing, especially when it comes to lead generation, we all know that lead generation, online marketing, the percentage of those people that are ready to do something right away is actually not very high. So as you often hear me talk about the fact that these people have come into your store, right? So they've walked in your store, you have their contact information. Chances are they're not ready to do something right away, but there's business there for down the road. I've always been amazed at how well Kathy stays in touch with people. Kathy is like really good at just people that 2 years ago came into the system, and she's just continued to text them and stay in touch. And it's amazing. Sometimes it's 2 years down the road, but most agents look at online leads as a waste of time. But you just have to understand it's just a nurturing process. You have to, if you want the immediate business, you have to look at the other things that we were just talking about, like the referral business, the open house business, like that's more the immediate business. The online lead business it's a long process. It's a long process. You have to be prepared for that. Well, it can be. I mean, unless you're doing like the Facebook marketplace ads, that doesn't cost you anything at all. You can run some of your own ads. But I just want to be real about that. You have to have the right expectations. And these people, if you just nurture them properly, like I said, it's going to be a year or 2 years out. But this is why you want to put your efforts into the other ways of getting business as well.
There's something I'm figuring out, Rob, that I think we can talk about later, but just to plant the seed, it's about when we start our business, we start with a particular set of business generating activities that are fundamental. Once those are in place, then we move on to some money spending, more expensive ones that can supplement and grow our business. But these core ones always have to be in place and running.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you really do like want to have your CRM organized, like your past, the people who know you and you know them, they should be getting regular contact, whatever way you're doing it, texting them, inviting them to events, email campaigns. That's the foundation. Your foundation is always your CRM, and it has to be organized properly. And I'm going to tell you, 90% of real estate agents don't do that. They really don't. So, but anyway, but this is why I say to you, you don't want to be doing all of this. You want to pick 5 or 6 of these, and that's about it. YouTube videos, blogging on your website and social media, breakfast clubs. I know Michael's involved in BNI. BNI is actually a fantastic organization to be a part of. There's a lot of work involved. Some of you may not be interested because there's so much work involved, but there is a really good opportunity with BNI, and some of our agents have had great success with it. New condos just built, brand new subdivisions, networking functions, and letters to homeowners with buyers, which I'm also going to be talking about that on Friday when we talk about working with buyers of some of these letters. All right, last part of this meeting today. And it's always my favorite part when I talk about Chris Voss. And I just see this over and over and over again. I can't express to all of you how important it is to consistently practice your negotiation skills. This business that we're in there's just so much involved in negotiation that if we're not aware of it and practicing it, you know, it's just not something that's ever going to get better for us. But I can promise you this, you practice this and get better at it, I guarantee you, you not only will you sell more houses in your career, you will make more friends. You will have better relationships with the people you love and care about. It's because life is a negotiation. When we're dealing with people, we're interacting with people. It doesn't matter whether they're family members or clients, it's an interaction of people. And, you know, the funny part is when I look around, most people are not that good at it. You know, that's why we're all guilty of saying things sometimes we shouldn't say and doing things we shouldn't do. It's why we're always asking our partners and spouses for forgiveness. So number one, you guys know this, and this is, I have to remind myself this all the time, because I have to tell you, the hardest thing about really following Chris Voss is the tone of my voice. It's the hardest thing. The most difficult thing is when you're dealing with someone else that's difficult and they're saying things to you that kind of push your buttons. And I have to keep my composure and use this late night DJ voice, is what Chris Voss describes. And I'm in my mind, I'm going, late night DJ voice, I actually want to punch this person in the throat right now, let alone have a late night DJ voice, right? But that's nothing, absolutely nothing works effectively if you can't control your tone of voice. You could say the right things in words, but the tone is coming out wrong. And I've done this. I've caught myself, like when I'm really annoyed and my tone of voice is coming across like I'm annoyed. You can tell. And all of us are guilty of this, are we not? That's right. Right. Our patience are thin, like I said, and sometimes you have to remember this. This is something else may have happened today that was actually bothering you. And now you're dealing with something over here that has nothing to do with what's over here, but the over here is creating a bad tone of voice because you're still irritated by this thing that happened over here. Yeah. This is why, like, if you ever have like an argument with your spouse or your partner, and then all of a sudden you get an offer on your listing, that's not good. What you need now is you have to somehow change your mindset. You got to. That's right. You need to do something. Maybe you need to go to the gym. Maybe you need to go for a walk. Maybe you need to. Some of you might need a glass of wine. I don't know. Whatever works, but you have to do something to clear your head, get rid of this, whatever has happened over here earlier today, because it absolutely does show up. So in any negotiation, your tone of voice is the first thing people notice about you. Do not ever forget that. Your tone sets the tone, is what it comes down to. Come at your counterpart with a friendly, accommodating tone, and they'll warm up to you. Come at the table with a loud, aggressive tone, and they'll clam up. Tone is more than just volume. It also includes your pitch, your pace, your intonation, your speed, your rhythm. He says, because the black swan skills are most effective when executed verbally. Tone is the foundation that all the other skills we teach depend upon. And I can tell you hands down, I know you guys will agree with me, I could say the wrong thing, but if I say it with the right tone, it doesn't come across so wrong. You know, I could say, Ash, you know that coat you're wearing? It's not bad, but you could do better. I could say it like that, it's not so bad, but I could also say, hey, Ash, that coat really has to go. See, that sounds worse. By the way, the coat's nice, I'm just kidding. But you can see my point. The tone just has, there's just so much that comes with it. And I just want you all to really understand this. Now, this is the feedback I'm getting all the time. I get realtors that call me, Rob, I'm so frustrated. I can't get a hold of the other realtor. Oh my goodness, I'm getting that like every other day. I get phone calls just out of sheer frustration that they're trying to, especially if you're the one that has the buyer and you're trying to get a hold of the listing realtor, and we're trying to deal with it, or you have the other agent wants to negotiate through text or email. That's frustrating. Here's my biggest concern, and this comes right from the Chris Voss playbook. When you get an email and you read it, emails have a tone of voice, right? They do. Like, have you ever read an email and said, I think I just got yelled at? I got yelled at from an email. Or you look at a text message, and the text message, like, it just comes across like, oh, this other person just absolutely just blasted me. Like, I mean, it came across like this tone of voice is, and the funny thing is, I've had times where I got a text from a client, for example, and I thought, oh, you know what? I think my client's pissed off. And I call them up and they're as nice as pie. I thought, wow, that's really weird. Because I read in the text that they seemed really agitated and irritated. And I just call them up and they're fine. So you have to understand, when you send an email or a text, what you do not have control over is how it's received. The tone, your intention of the text could have been completely harmless, but for some reason it was received the wrong way. And the worst of it is, your text might be trying to get them to call you, and yet your text might have actually did the opposite. You may have said something in your text that they read it and went, I'm not going to call this realtor. Screw them. I'll just do this through text then.
That's what you do. Don't worry, I've done.
You've got it right. That's why we all know this, but you have to try to be a little bit creative. And this is, again, every time you're faced with a negotiation, especially if it's a real estate negotiation, you have to take a step back for a moment and not focus on what you think the other person should do, but more of what can I do to influence that person to help them maybe see things a little different, so that we can maybe get this deal done. Because the way that they're behaving or the way that they're approaching this is maybe more combative. It's not collaborative. And we want to get to a collaborative approach as much as possible. Now, nothing ever works all the time. There's just some agents, I think no matter what you say in a text or an email, they're just not going to pick up the phone. Some of them just don't. And it's really frustrating. But I can tell you, if you do it right, you can get more people to engage on the phone with you. And of course, it can build good relationships as well when it's handled properly. And I mean, I work very, very hard to get people on the phone as much as possible, because again, the tone of voice is everything. And I can tell you, when you practice the Chris Voss techniques, it's amazing how much how quickly even another agent that might be combative turns into being someone that's more collaborative with you. Because I mean, I get it too. I mean, all of you have had the, the agent that says, well, I've been doing it for 30 years and, this is the way I've always done it. And, or how long have you been doing this for, Michael? Because I've been doing it, I think, a lot longer than you. You get these comments, they say these things and it can really push your buttons,
Talked about that,
Right.
commitment before ego.
Commitment before ego. That's exactly right. Check your ego at the door and it's okay. Handled correctly, because I don't even know how many times I've even said to the agent that's 30 or 40 years in the business, and I've said, well, you've obviously seen a lot of situations, what have you done? What would you do if you were in my shoes? Like, I've said those things. That's checking your ego at the door to say that. And it's hard because most real estate agents have a pretty big ego.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about, and so we always have to remember, why are we doing this? We're doing this for the benefit of our client, which is the number one commitment, is to give our clients the best possible experience possible, as well as we're doing this for ourselves and our families, so we can earn an income. And so our ego is going to tell us something about the other agent that's being rude to us, and also about our ability to protect ourselves from feelings of inferiority. But we gotta, like you said, check that at the door and stay committed to what our mission is our clients and our families.
That's right. That's exactly right. You stay focused on what you're trying to do. And I'm going to tell you something. Take it from me. The best place to practice this is in your personal relationships. So the other day, I made my wife late. We were going somewhere and I wasn't ready. She was at the door and she was yelling at me from downstairs to get going. And there was a reaction within me that wanted to yell back and say something like, just hang on. Okay, just relax. I'll be there. Right? You can tell though that response, as simple as this situation might be, that response doesn't create a collaborative approach. You know what ends up happening? You guys are all going to laugh. How many times has this happened? But then you get into the car with each other and you're both mad at each other. And you have to drive somewhere. Both started off your trip now, both kind of mad at each other because one was late and one wasn't. But you can see I dug deep on this and I thought, you know what, I got to practice. This is exactly, even though this is a simple situation with my own wife, but this is the situations we get into in our negotiation. It all comes down to the other person said something that stirred up a bit of a reaction. I got to take a step back, take a deep breath and think, what is the best course of action? What is the best tone of voice? And when you come back with a calm voice, even when the other person raised theirs, what happens, Julie?
Oh, you either shut down or you engage.
Right? Like,
Usually it's engage. Doesn't go well.
It never goes well. It never goes well. Because especially between real estate agents, you always have another strong personality. Generally speaking, we don't come into this business unless we have a strong personality. All right, let me just read this and we'll wrap up. If you want to bring the right tone to the table, enter each conversation with the right mindset. If you go in with a negative mindset, you will bring a negative tone into the room, whether you want to or not. So true. It might even be a subtle nuance in your voice, but your counterpart will detect it and start feeling uneasy. So before entering any negotiation, Find someone you trust, a friend, a spouse, or a colleague, and get everything off your chest. When you have a clear mind, it's easier to get your counterpart to that same state, making a deal much more likely. After all, if you and your counterpart have a negative sentiments floating around, neither side will listen deeply enough to have a constructive conversation. And I know this to be true because I've had times where some of our agents in our brokerage have called me and they're like, Rob, I'm like ready to explode here. Like, I'm so frustrated, talk me off a cliff. We did. We were able to have a good conversation and then come back with a much better mindset, which in turn comes with a much better tone of voice. And I can promise you, you will put more deals together. Real quick story. Just recently, we had a situation where I could see that how the agent was dealing with their seller, because the agent that was dealing with the seller was extremely frustrated with the buyer, and they were venting their frustration with their own client. Okay, not a good thing. It's not going to help if you vent about the other realtor to your client. Because what ends up happening is then your client starts to not like the other realtor as well. But it was interesting as they were venting to the seller, the seller was also starting to vent back, and it turned into this really kind of an awkward conversation. And of course, both of them started just getting so annoyed. Their level of annoyance had to this other realtor, it went from here up to here, and of course the deal didn't come together. So another little lesson in this, even when the other agent is being challenging and difficult, you don't need to share every little detail of what that agent is doing with your client. It's not going to help the situation. Your client, it definitely won't help if your client doesn't like the other realtor either. It's not going to help you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Keep that to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. Yeah, just keep it to yourself. Your job, now, we don't, of course, when it comes to dealing with our clients, we're always, transparent and truthful, but you can still filter it out. If the other realtor uses a cuss word, you don't need to repeat that to your client. Okay, that's you're not losing any integrity by filtering that out.
And it works both ways, because some realtors I've found, I'm gonna say names, will tell you how much they love their client, your clients, how much they love your clients. And they want you to pass on their messages to them.
Right.
As to how much you love them. Keep that to yourself as well, to a certain degree.
That's right. We are the filter. Good. I hope this has been really helpful today. As always, this will be posted up on CNBC Office for you to watch after if you want to watch some of these things that we went through today. And oh, there's 2 things on the chat. Thanks for that, Sandro. We have a quick couple of comments before we wrap up. All right. Oh, there's some names that came up on taking the master class. Okay, fantastic. Awesome. Well, I'm actually really excited about this Friday. It's going to be a fantastic morning, and I can promise everyone is going to get a lot out of it. So we'll see you on Friday, and everybody have a fantastic week.
So far, we have 26 on reserved for in-person.
26 for in-person, but are some of those people already in Central Alberta?
Probably, I'm just saying there's 26 RSVP'd in person.
Okay, we'll tally that up, and if there's a change of venue, I'll be sending out an email to let you know where the change of venue is. So, like I said, we might be moving to a hotel, which, yeah, that's a good thing. Just costs me more money, that's all. All right, we'll see you all there.